Okay, we're about ready to call the meeting to order then. Okay, we're going to start out with roll call.
Heather Ann, you're going to call out the roll. All right. We have a Ms. Bex. I'm here. Mr. Mordecai? Mordecai, sorry. Oh, absent. Ms. Helen? Headland? Excuse me. Sorry. Ms. Jones? Mr. Miller?
Yep.
Ms. O'Carrollton?
Orchardton?
Orchardton, sorry. Ms. Samman?
Here?
Mr. Pinilla?
Here.
And Ms. Williams?
Yes, here. Do we have a quorum?
We don't need one today.
Well,
Well,
if we
except
approve
for
the
the
meeting
minutes,
minutes,
yeah.
so we'll skip that for now.
I believe we have a quorum still.
Oh, do we? Okay, all right, go ahead. Okay, the next thing would be to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Does anybody have any corrections or changes? Okay, I move that we approve those minutes. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move to the staff report.
Wonderful. And can we pass down the attendance record so that she may sign it as well? All right, everyone. First and foremost, welcome. So happy to see you all here. I'm foregoing a PowerPoint this time around. Maybe it'll make me more speedy. We will see. I want to just give a brief staff report, so I will skim a lot of this, and my hope is that our commissioners will read it more in depth so that we can prioritize our grant presentations today. I usually begin with a quick staffing update, and I actually want to take a moment to introduce Heather Ann Hicks-Lehman, who's here with us today. If you are on our commission, or just tethered to watching our commission meetings on television, you might have already heard her name before. So Heather Ann has actually been working with us for how many months?
July.
Since July, and this is her first meeting she's attending, and she's kind of like just jumping in the water, not dipping her toe in, because you may have also heard that Sukiya Reed moved on to a different position and left the city of Urbana. She usually takes meeting minutes, so Heather Ann Hicks-Lehman is going to be taking meeting minutes, but she is our program specialist, serving both the Urbana Arts and Culture program and the Urbana's Market in the square, at the square. So she's been a wonderful addition, and I'm excited that she'll be at all our meetings. So please join me in giving her welcome. Apart from that, our program has been very forceful in the whole volunteer and intern program realm recently. So I wanted to mention a couple of things that we have going on. One is that we're collaborating with a Social Work 461 class, and these are students who've been working with our program for the past semester, and they'll end their internship with us on December 10th, which, if you're doing your math, is our next commission meeting. Those students are going to be presenting. There's 3 of them that have been working with us as part of a class, so they are assigned a grade by me at the end of the semester, and they are going to be giving you a presentation about all of their activities from this past semester that they've done with us and some of the initiatives that they've taken on. I like to do that with all the interns. Time doesn't always afford us the ability to do so, but this next December meeting you'll get a short presentation from them. I also want to mention that we are one of 4 sites of the Women in Leadership program through the University YWCA. This program has sent us 7 students that are working with us as a group, and as a team what they do is they observe the program for a semester, and then they make a proposal to sort of fill a need or a gap in the following semester. So they work with us for an academic year. They've begun observing the program, volunteering at different events, just kind of familiarizing themselves with our website. The challenge I gave them was to create a media kit for us that has a lot of information of where we can disperse and send information about our programs, especially as we're targeting different audiences. Some of the electronic newsletters, calendars, just kind of a comprehensive guide of all of those things. So we, because most of the time it's in the nugget, so I'd like to put it on paper. So we're going to have them be working on that, and we'll have some sort of kit by the end of the spring that they'll also present to you on.
Good.
Lastly, Community Learning Lab contacted me last week that they'll be sending me a new intern to work with the program. I'm interviewing that student next week. That's a program for class credit through the University of Illinois. Students can come and work with us. It's at no cost to our program. Neither are the 2 other programs. So it's been fun to kind of have these interns work with us, and usually it's a very intentional project that they're doing. So I'll give you more updates after I meet this new person. course, the big thing on everyone's minds now in terms of programs is our grant program. You'll be hearing Tier 3 grant applications today. The rest of the grants, and this is, I think, important for people in the room who are here as guests, but also for our newer commissioners, our commission actually reviews and evaluates Tier 3 grants. But all the rest of our grants, which include Tiers 1 and 2, our Arts in the Schools, which is now an award within Tier 1, sort of a designated checkbox award, and our Poet Laureate program, which is on a separate cycle, those are all reviewed by juries, just like our Murals on Glass or Sculptures or other programs that we do. And those juries usually have a commissioner or two on them, but otherwise are comprised of a diversity of members of the public who have different maybe stakes in the question. So we will be jurying those in January. If you hadn't gathered, we've moved the timeline up, and this came in response to some feedback. And of course, it is a work in progress. So those of you that are here as applicants or here as members of the public who have a stake or an interest, please know that we are all ears to how we can make the process easier for you. And we moved it up, and that meant there was a lot of little things to do. So the rustling of papers when you arrive today is a nice symptom of that. But hopefully you'll bear with me. So Tier 3 were due recently, and I think awarded most people a little bit of an extension, but you've got them all in. How fantastic. We'll be reviewing them today. At our meeting next week, we will be voting. And then at the, hopefully by the end of that meeting, whether you attend or watch on television, you'll know whether you were funded and at what amount. For Tiers 1 and 2, the deadline is January 15th. We will jury them very soon after, and they should know by the February meeting whether or not they're funded. So this is all moving up a little bit sooner than we have been in the past. I'm hoping that our sneak peek event, which is our celebration of awardees, happens in March instead of April, and that contracts are signed by mid-March so that people can very smoothly begin on April 1 their full grant period until April 1, with hopefully a check in hand or on its way. But I also want to point out that I am offering a number of grants workshops, and we do recommend these, especially for folks who are applying in the earlier categories. Tiers 1 and 2 usually are more first-time applicants or people who have smaller projects and are really trying to formulate them still. These are great grant workshops to attend, and I give the same workshop, so you don't have to come to multiple, but unless you want to get the information 3 or 4 times. But they're offered in a variety of locations, both campus, community, Parkland, different areas of Urbana. So find one that you like and come and attend. The full listings here in the staff report. It's also available online on our Arts Grants page. I want to point out that our current exhibit on display is the Belongings exhibit, which is in honor of Immigrant Welcoming Week. You've probably heard me talk about this already. Thank you to the commissioners who came out and were part of Immigration Welcome Week Awards. This was, since we didn't have an October meeting, you're getting some September updates, and that's just for your benefit. But the thing I do want to point out is on November 20th, we have our closing for the current exhibit on display, and that is going to be at Spurlock Museum because the exhibit was expanded into Spurlock this year. We'll also have it as an immigrant story slam. So we're inviting people who submitted stories to have their stories either read or performed by themselves or someone else if they choose to. We've had a number of people say yes to that, and we're inviting others who'd like to share their own personal stories at the mic as well. So that'll be an opportunity. If you or someone you know is interested, please let us know. Our inaugural Poet Laureate, Will Rieger, has been hitting the ground running with lots of new projects. Just today we released the first episode of Poets on a Park Bench, featuring local poet Ann Earl Hart. This is a new TV miniseries featuring local poets. He's organizing a veterans poetry initiative with the Center for Wounded Veterans on campus and some other veterans organizations locally. We've got a new program called Poems on Glass that'll soon be released, and this is to complement our Murals on Glass program. So if you're unfamiliar, Murals on Glass is our digital artworks printed on adhesive vinyl, put on municipal building windows in our downtown area. A certain number of those artworks will be selected and or our sculptures even, and those will be identified as poems, poem-worthy. So poets can then submit a poem inspired by one of the artworks. The selected poems will be printed and then put on display for a period of 2 years or longer. Longer only if they last guaranteed for 2 years. I also want to mention that CU Jazz Festival, which not only was a wonderful hit this year, but was our feature for Art Now. So congratulations to all those who made that festival possible. And if you haven't checked out Art Now, that is our TV miniseries all about local artists that airs on UPTV, YouTube, and on occasion as a podcast on WRFU 104.5 Radio Free Urbana. Yay! Art in the Square wrapped up this past October 26th as Market in the Scare, which was a spooky farmer's market that was also spooky because it was terrifyingly wet and cold. It was raining like ice rain. I was actually astounded at how many people still came and participated, both as vendors and as participating volunteer organizations. So we had quite a number of activities still there. We even had a zombie flash mob from Alan Hall's Zombie Club. And Spread the Magic came all the way from Illinois State University to be with us as Disney princesses and Marvel characters. So it was a really fun time. And we were impressed by the amount of people who still came out and participated on such a difficult day weather-wise. Art in the Market is our collaboration with Urbana Business Association, so this begins on December 14th with the Merry Travelers. They'll be performing folksy seasonal tunes. These are Market in the Square concerts, which occur every second Saturday of the month in Lincoln Square Mall in the food court. We also had Young Artist Studio take place this past Sunday. Our interns both put on a Make Your Own Masterpiece workshop for kids at 3 p.m. this past Sunday. Our next one is Bilingual Yoga with Citlali Stanton, scheduled for December 8th at 3 p.m. These continue as once a month workshops where local artists can lead activities. This past Sunday was unusual in that we had our interns lead it as an opportunity for them. Urbana Sculpture Project is in one of our off years. However, I mentioned to you that we had been in conversation with the Mike and Connie Hosier, David and Janet Peshkin group about sponsoring Tumble Arch in our downtown. And those of you who've attended our meetings, you might have even seen a picture of Tumble Arch. Mm-hmm. We are at present waiting for the Peak Between the Trees to move. And the idea is that it'll likely go there. So it'll be a large arched sculpture on Main Street. We're still working out the details of that, but it's likely to go in the spring when there's a bit of a thaw. Similarly, we're in a year of our Murals on Glass, and then you may have heard me mention our utility box mural program is beginning this year. We just finished jurying that. Some people in the room were part of that jury. Thank you very much for coming and being part of that. We selected 8 approved artworks for utility boxes and 3 artworks for consideration for Cunningham Township's front windows. We let the staff of the building who is receiving the mural actually select, so they'll select from those 3. And then we have 8 that have been approved alternatively. We do have 5 utility boxes at present that we've identified and budgeted for, but we're still seeking private sponsors that might allow us to do a few more. Again, these cannot be installed until the spring, given the snow coming a little earlier than expected. Lastly, I just want to mention that we'll be represented again at the Grantathon, which is an annual event on the University of Illinois campus highlighting local granting organizations, where we talk a little bit about applying for grants, evaluating grants, and also how to seek support as someone who has a big idea. So that's a project that'll happen in February, and I'll be sure to represent our program as best I can. But that is your staff report for November.
All right.
Sorry I didn't have a lot of slides to entertain you with. I'm probably the next person on the agenda because I wanted to say some words too about this whole process today.
Yeah.
Okay?
Go for it.
All right, we'll jump in. So I'm going to ask the commissioners to open your blue folders. Inside your folder you have scoring sheets. They're actually filled out in terms of name. Mm-hmm. So you can see that you should have 4 with the names of all 4 applicant organizations. You also have instructions and reminders. After last cycle, it seemed important to make sure we're very clear at what every step of the grant process is intended to be used for, just so that we all don't get caught up in the whole journey of it. So we have kind of laid this out, and this is actually, can completely be shared with those of you who are here as applicants, but it's basically just the dates of what we're doing. So we had the deadline for Urbana Arts Grant, Tier 3. Then we have today's meeting. And so we indicate that today's meeting, the intention is for commissioners to hear presentations from all Tier 3 applicants. Commissioners at this meeting will receive paper copies, as you have, of all applications and scoring sheets. You'll also get them this evening via Dropbox. And We also ask that you use this time to ask clarifying questions or ask people to elaborate in any way that'll help you score and inform your own ideas about the program that's being proposed. November 17th is the deadline for which you will submit your individual scoring. So you have 4 sheets of paper, and then this year we also have a funding worksheet for you to fill out, where you can say, this is my intention of what I would like to divvy up the money to go towards. And then I receive all of those from all of you. Together with Heather Ann's help, we're going to put together a proposal that summarizes all of your feedback. That'll be presented to you at next Tuesday's meeting. You can then discuss it to death, and then we can vote. I also want to mention that, so the deadline for receiving these effectively 5 things, your 4 scoring sheets and your funding summary, are next Monday, the 17th. And I would like to get those via email, but if you can't, you can deliver a paper copy to me. Easier for me is via email. And then on the 19th, we have a special meeting of the Urbana Arts and Culture Commission to vote on Tier 3 grants. Again, during this next meeting, I will present a funding proposal based on your scoring sheets and individual funding proposal worksheets. I will also invite a discussion at that time. Commissioners should discuss their individual assessments in an open forum, debating merits and voicing any challenges. A motion to accept, revise, or reject the proposal should be made at that time. And then a final vote on Tier 3 funding will be cast at that meeting. I did include here November 22nd is when official notice will be given to all Tier 3 grantees, and that means a formal letter will be emailed to all of those applicants. But that just gives me a little bit of time to get those letters together. However, if you attend the meeting or watch on TV, you should know whether you were funded on that day. Does that make sense for the process?
Yep.
And I just want to indicate last cycle, and we've got some new commissioners with us, but last cycle, it is the meeting that is effectively next Tuesday, where you should have a very lively discussion. This is more of a listening meeting and asking questions. Okay, so are we all clear on that? And of course, I'll remind you of that next week.
Yeah, just so we're expected to be here next week.
Yes, next Tuesday, 4:30.
4:30. Just to hash out what we've already emailed to you. Okay. Okay, let's get
And Rachel, do I understand that the Dropbox is going to have blank forms that we can then fill out and send to you?
That is correct.
So
you
I
have
can
paper
scratch
copies
on this
here.
for now,
That's
and
true.
then-
And I did turn them into fillable PDFs, so that was what will be uploaded, so you can save them right that way, and especially if you prefer typing.
So, can you clarify this?
Yes, I can clarify this. So you have $35,000 in funding to give out in the Tier 3 category. We have 4 applications, each requesting $10,000. That's why your funding summary indicates that $48,000 has been requested, and you have $35,000 to distribute. So then you will indicate here what you would like that distribution to look like from your perspective, and any comments justifying your decision making. I know this isn't easy. All of these events are very beloved.
They're all with us.
And
So,
they have to give out all
We need 4
35,000.
more paper. So these are our school
I think that
sheets.
answer, yes. Okay, so we're going to go straight into presentations if everybody's ready.
I think he needs 4 applications.
You need the full
paper application.
Yeah, he has that?
He has a full
I got it.
paper.
Oh, sorry, you need the guidelines.
No, he needs.
He needs the packets.
Oh, you didn't get the
Hand
packets.
him that Pygmalion one, and then these other
Oh, really?
three.
This is what you
Yeah,
meant.
these.
Oh,
Sorry.
I thought you meant this.
Yes, ma'am.
And this
All
is in
right.
his packet, right?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Which one you got pulled up? We're going to do CU Folk and Roots first. Our first presentation is coming from Rob Crum on behalf of CU Folk and Roots Festival, presenting the 2020 CU Folk and Roots application, requesting $10,000. Would you like to come take my seat?
Sure.
But Rachel, can I just also ask, is there just like a general understanding of like how long we should be spending on each presentation?
I think you're going to give me 30 minutes, and then everybody else gets about 5.
I have recommended all of them to speak for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Minutes.
Very helpful.
Some people put more slides in their presentation than others.
Okay.
If you are a commissioner, I would like to give you each one of these. This is the program from the last Folk and Roots Festival. And hold on to this because I don't really want you to look at it today while I'm speaking, but more than anything, this really is like the concrete, what is the festival? Okay, in nice Reader's Digest kind of form. So, and I will be making a report about the festival at some point later, in a weird kind of series of the planet certainly must be aligned against us. Our festival was just 2 weeks ago, all right? And then we had to do our proposal the week after the festival. And seriously, the festival's a lot of work. I was physically and emotionally shocked for about 3 days. But then I kind of got it together enough to submit the proposal. So, who's got control of the thing here? All right, next slide. Okay, so my name's Rob Crum. I live here in Urbana. I'm a musician. I worked for years at the Illinois Geological Survey. I've lived here since 1980, all right? So I've lived in Urbana a long time. It's my home. I love living here, all right? So enough about me. Let's talk about the festival. So I am one of a group of 15 people working year-round on the festival. So we have a good group of folks. They're all local people. Most of them are musicians. Some of them are not. They're diehard music lovers. So let's roll. Okay, so this next year will be the 12th annual festival. These are just some pictures from this year's festival. This last festival just kind of gives you an idea of what goes on. There's a lot of participation. There's a lot of energy during the festival. Just a quick show of hands if you came to the festival this year. Okay, so I would say this, I would love to see you all at the next festival because this is where your money's going. It would be really heartwarming to see you there. I saw Mayor Marlin there this year. It was great. You know, I saw some of the folks in the room, and it's a lot of fun. So next year's festival will be in October. We always do the festival either in late October or early November. We'll do about 70 performances, various events in the downtown area mostly. We do some events on campus, but all under the Urbana side of campus. We do performances, dances, workshops, storytelling. We do a lot of events for kids of all ages and families. We have a lot of free events, so that's one of the reasons why we're always looking for support. We try to keep the festival very affordable, and we have lots of free events, which makes it really affordable for those events. And we get a crowd of about 1,400 to 1,700 people pretty consistently every year. Next slide. So our thanks really to you and the city. The city's been good to the festival since year one. So we appreciate that. So look, you know, when we first got going, we called it the Champaign-Urbana Folk and Roots Festival, really not knowing where the festival was even going to be held. The first year it was in downtown Urbana. We thought that was a good fit, and it continues to be a good fit. So by this time, you know, we've gone through 11 festivals, and downtown Urbana is just part of the festival now. You know, the people who come to the festival every year, whether they're from town or the area or from out of town, they know where to go. They know everything's going to be in downtown on Friday and Saturday. So, like I said, grant funding is a crucial part of all the festival funding. So again, our sincere thanks. Next slide. So here's the mission. I'm not going to read through all this. It's available on our website, which is just folkandroots.org. But you know, we want to support local and Illinois musicians and artists. We want to promote a sense of community. We want to promote accessibility to the arts. That's why we keep a lot of things free. Our festival is very hands-on and it's participatory. So that's what makes this festival different. It's not just people go to performances, sit there and get performed at. Okay, that's certainly part of it, and that's a fun part too. We get some great performers, but we also, especially during the Saturday of the festival, we do instrument workshops, learn how to play, advanced player workshops. We have storytelling that goes on at the Urbana Free Library. We have a puppet show some years for kids. We have a lot of activities for kids, and we want hands-on engagement. So that's what we're really trying to do. Bring attention and business to the downtown Urbana area and expose residents to a lot of inspiring forms of music, dance, and art. Next slide. Okay, so we were founded in 2008. And this is just a little bit about the festival for the new people on commission. So you may not know like who we are, what we've been up to, where we come from. So this is all about it. So we started in 2008, and really it was a lot of us, local musicians, who were going places, going to festivals, and coming back and thinking, you know, we should do that here. All right, so what in an odd way, what we've done is, like, for me personally, it's a lot easier for me to go somewhere else now to a festival. But the one we have here is a lot of work, but it's okay. Okay, so we do have a lot of people who come every year from outside the area, and it's developed a pretty good following. So we do a big mix of local. We do a lot of local performers. We get regional performers and national performers, kind of in decreasing numbers. We get a handful of national performers, maybe 5 or 6 of them. That's what it takes to get people to pay money to come to the festival, where a lot of our income comes from. We get people from the region, and for us that means anywhere from Chicago to St. Louis, from Cincinnati to the Quad Cities or Kansas City, Louisville, Kentucky, Nashville, Tennessee. That's kind of all, those are all what we consider regional artists. So I said hands-on activities are a key part of the festival. The other one is we have everything in pretty small venues. So I always tell people this is a listening room kind of. When you're going to performances, you get good quality. The Rose Bowl is our biggest venue. Okay, Rose Bowl, Iron Post. Everything after that is smaller. Okay, so we find the downtown area to be a great match. As I mentioned, the free events. If you bought a full festival pass this year, it's been $40. It's $40 in advance. We raised it to $50 at the door. We did a lot of pre-festival sales because of that. So anyway, let's keep going. All events are held in downtown Urbana or on the Urbana side of campus. All the venues within easy walking distance. And this is kind of how the operating principles of the festival address the goals of the Urbana Arts Grant Program. So there's almost, you know, a one-to-one correspondence of what you all want to do with what we do. All right, so it's very easy, I think, for us to be involved with this program. We have great partnerships. Some of our partners are here in the room. We have participatory nature of events. We bring people to downtown Urbana. We book new performers, people who are, you know, never played the festival or they've never played gigs in town. So we try to support those people who are just starting. Next slide. We do a lot of hands-on activities, so we promote a variety of art forms. We celebrate local artists and tradition. We book a lot of local performers. We offer a diverse lineup, so we're trying to get people engaged in the arts. We strive to represent the entire community. We try to make we put a big emphasis on diversity for the festival, and that's in the proposal. And really, diversity for our festival means a number of things. It means musical genres. It means nationality, ethnicity. It also means geography, all right? Because we want a rich geographic distribution of bands or performers coming in. So we had performers from New Orleans this year. Lily Lewis, terrific piano player. She was a bright spark. Kashona Armstrong from Nashville. We had this klezmer band from the Bay Area in California. We had Don Flemons, who's based in Washington, D.C., you know, so those are some of the people that come in, and that mix, get people coming in from different parts of the country. It works in a number of ways. For one thing, those people come and they enjoy the festival, and most of these people really enjoy the festival. And then, you know, we hope when they leave and say, you know, Champaign-Urbana, got a pretty cool thing going on, and that is happening, you know, because we get overwhelmed by requests to perform at the festival now. We get this monstrous big request, and more artists than we can possibly book in 2 or 3 years. All right, I mentioned partnerships. So here's all the venues. This is a little bit of an aerial map. This is kind of like looking down at Race and Main Street, and that's kind of where the festival's headquartered. So we had the Rose Bowl, the Community Center for the Arts, the Cohen Building, Urbana Dance Company, Blackbird is here, the Iron Post, Urbana Free Library. We had some stuff going on at the Lincoln Square Food Court, Common Ground Food Co-op, and then the Cranard Center and Red Herring and Channing Murray are, of course, to the west, not shown. But so we do pretty much almost everything in downtown. Next slide. We do a kickoff event at the Cranard Center. If you were not there this year, you missed this great concert by the Gaslight Squares from St. Louis. We have had a crowd of about 300 people. Let's go keep going. These are just to give you an idea of some of the things that went on, because next year's festival is going to be pretty much a lot like this. You know, we really haven't started planning next year's festival. All right, just be honest with you. We're just past last year's festival. But we did, new this year, we used the Red Herring and the Channing Murray Foundation upstairs and downstairs. So we had a dinner and a dance. Let's keep going. Over there at Channing Murray, keep going. Some events at the Rose Bowl. We had Gaslight Squares again. Don Fleming's over there at the Rose Bowl. Keep going. Some other things were going on. We had this great West African drum and dance corps from Chicago, Aodeli. They played at the Urbana Dance Company, and they peeled the paint off over there. It was so much of a good time. Candy Foster has not played the festival for a while. Candy played with us. This band at the Iron Post, this trio's Beretsky Pass. They were the klezmer band, and the Kashona Armstrong at the Community Center for the Arts. Let's keep going. Urbana Free Library is a great partner for us. They host a lot of events on the Saturday of the festival, all free. These are just some of the things that happened over there. Good crowds at the Urbana Free Library, and the library is just such a good fit for this festival. Let's keep going. So thanks to all our project partners. You know, we have good partnerships with lots of people, and there's just they're all noted in that program. The City of Urbana Arts and Culture Commission, the Sousa Archives on campus, Urbana Business Association. You know, we have Seth and Patrick here from Pygmalion Festival. They're really good. They support the festival. There's a lot of local organizations. We get donations from about 90 people in town, and those people come to the festival every year. A lot of in-kind support. Let's keep rolling. So with partnerships and relations with all these organizations, we've really turned the festival into kind of a year-round entity. So we just don't do fall festival. We have these other events where we do what's called the Winter Weekend that's coming up. We work with the Park District, the Urbana Park District, on a couple events. The Roots Walk, and we do the Folk and Roots Fridays over there at Crystal Lake Park through the summer. We do a big tribute to Hank Williams fundraiser at the Rose Bowl, which is that's going on year 4. We do a Folk and Roots stage at the Sweet Corn Festival. We've been doing that since 2014. And then we also do a number of just one-off shows through the year. Next slide. So,
Rob, you're almost out of time.
oh, no way. So, you know, I have a lot to say, and, you know, I will just beg for a few more minutes because this is very important. We have a lot of people, as far as what it brings to Urbana, lots of people. There's hundreds of people downtown at any given time. You know, our goal is to increase business for places like the Rose Bowl, Blackbird, and other places. We try to get additional business for the coffee shops. We try to show off the downtown area to visitors. As I mentioned, highlight the music scene. Let's go to the next slide. It brings people together. So here are 2 comments I received. When's the last time you got thank you notes in writing from anybody? Okay, I got 2 of them right away after the festival. First time attendee said, thank you so very much for this year's Folk and Roots Festival. I kept thinking all day Saturday how lucky I am to live in a place like Urbana, where events like this are accessible to everyone. Amazing. I had so much fun. Thank you for enriching my life. From a longtime festival attendee, this Folk and Roots is such a great community celebration for folk music, education, and joy. I love wandering around downtown from one venue to another. It's a quintessential great community music event of Urbana. Next slide. So this is a little more what it brings. So I just want to say, you know, we get bands that come here and they get involved with the festival. So I just use this band Beretsky Pass that came this year. So we had 2 local residents who worked to really help get them here, put together funding from all these organizations. So during a 4-day period, that band Beretsky Pass, which is an internationally acclaimed klezmer band, They did a performance at the festival. They played music for a dance at the festival. They performed at the Sinai Temple. They conducted a master session class for local musicians. They gave a presentation at the U of I for the Center for World Music, and they showed up at the Hootenanny on Monday at the Rose Bowl, all right? They were everywhere. So that's the kind of involvement we get from these bands, though. You know, we pay them, and basically, we just have to tell them what we want them to do. And most of these people, like I said, they love coming here and hanging out. They gladly do all these things. The drum and dance group from Chicago pretty much did a similar kind of schedule, with a big thanks to the people at Unit 1 at Allen Hall for getting it. Let's go to the next slide. Plans for the next year. We had events at different locations. The Red Herring Dinner and the activities at Channing Murray worked well. We had jam sessions at Lincoln Square Food Court and the Common Ground Food Co-op. We'll probably continue those. We're going to look at some others of the spaces in Lincoln Square. The Urbana Dance Company was a great location for us. That was new this year. And we're going to look at, just see what else is going on in downtown Urbana. There's some other spaces. Next slide. Budget details. So we did ask for $10,000. The overall festival budget's about $35,000. That's just for the fall festival. Most of the grant funding we're asking for is going to be used to book performers. And booking is the single largest festival expense. We spend about $18,000 to $22,000. Then there's what the other grant services, the other expenses will be used for, and then we'll match with 70% with contributions from all of our supporters. Let's go to the next one. So the budget impacts, I just want to mention this. The festival supports local people and the local music and art scene. You know, that means local performers, local sound engineers. All of our printing services are done locally. Dixon Graphics and Wisecamp. Space rental fees go to support organizations that are here. Most of our advertising is done locally. We're very committed to Urbana and Champaign-Urbana area. So look, we could ask big companies like Guitar Center for support. All right, we don't. All right, we would rather work with Upper Bout, Course in Music, Music Shop. You know, that's what makes it local. You know, we don't ask Amazon.com for support. All right, next. So there's the proposal. Once again, it'll be the 12th annual festival next year. Everything happens in Urbana. There's the attendance. Festival is successful due to strong relationships with project partners. So we've cultivated a very strong following and dedicated following in Champaign-Urbana. So thanks for your support, and really, I would really love for you all to come to next year's festival, because it will happen. Finally, there's all the people who are involved with the festival. If you know any of them, thank them for their involvement. These folks work really hard all year to get this festival and all the other activities and keep them going. So, all right. That was a long 10 minutes, so I apologize.
Questions for Ron?
I just remember I was in this room the very first time you came and made the proposal for the festival.
Right.
It's good to see what you've done over there.
Yeah, I mean,
It was this very good.
it was, and Brenda and I and a small group of people were here. So.
We can take questions at this time from commissioners.
Thanks so much. I hope to come next year. I'm just wondering, you mentioned supporting local artists.
Mhm.
So is there also interest in helping support like the next generation of artists and encouraging like younger people to play? Are you engaged with the Banks Bridgewater Arts instructional program? I've seen them play out.
We've had Nathaniel Banks and his group play, not in recent years, but before we have had them play.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Mo Better jazz band.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering like what a sustained partnership with them or like an art school. I mean, I see they support, they probably bought this ad maybe, so they're supportive of you.
We
Like
use the community center for the arts.
Uh-huh.
We use that space too.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
But I'm wondering about if you could, I don't know, just thought being intentional about supporting local up-and-coming artists who may be from underserved populations. As I understand, Banks Bridgewater, some of the lessons are free even. So yeah, if that's like an interest of yours at all.
I mean, you know, here's the thing. Like I said, we've had that Mo Better jazz band
Right.
before, and so we do I think I mentioned we do a stage at the Sweet Corn Festival every year. And I think that's the last time we had them, and we actually had their band, and then we had the band from the Community Center for the Arts. It's Bodacious String Band. So we had those bands kind of all together, and they played, we wanted them to play more than one or two songs together, but they did play a couple songs together,
Yeah.
you know, but it's kind of, it's a little different background. One's a jazz band, and one's
Right.
kind of a, you know, kind of a string band, playing fiddle tunes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, you know, I'd say this, like, we've had performers play their very first gigs at the Folk and Roots Festival, okay? We've had performers play their first, second, third gigs at the Sweet Corn Festival, at the festival itself, and then maybe at the winter weekend, all right? So, I mean, we're always looking for people.
Right.
It's just a matter of making those connections. you
Yeah,
know,
and like
seriously.
staying engaged over time, and sometimes we just have to like be intentional. I mean, I tell myself too, if I want to make a connection with somebody, you have to like continue that, you know? I would like to see like an intentional connection maybe with them, and even like maybe those kids would help with sound or something later on, who knows? And I know it takes more effort, but this is very impressive what you do.
Thanks.
And I think with all your partnership with C4A, you do a lot of that.
Yeah,
That's
can
what
you
they're
say a
all
little bit
about.
more about how C4A relates to this?
Okay, so Community Center for the Arts, so just Truth in Advertising, you know, I used to teach guitar lessons there, so I'll just say that.
Yeah, I know, I've taken.
Pat was one of my guitar students, so real truth in advertising, all right. So, but I'm no longer on the faculty, huh?
Full disclosure.
Yeah, I'm no longer on the faculty, but, you know, Community Center for the Arts is a great local resource, and if you don't know Robin Kierton, you know, she's somebody you need to know. She's got a lot of energy. They teach a lot of students over there, you know, violin, many other instruments, piano, guitar, drums, voice. Anyway, so Robin has, and part of the philosophy over there, Community Center for the Arts, is to get ensembles together. It's not just like you practicing your piano scales like maybe all of us did when we were kids. All right, it's getting people to play together. So they have a lot of performance ensembles. They have Bodacious String Band, that's maybe the most visible one. They've performed at the festival a number of times. They have this kind of ensemble band for adults. It's called Cretaceous Band. They used to be called Cretaceous String Band. Now they're just called a Cretaceous Band, I think. Anyway, we've had a Cretaceous Band. There's a jazz band, a country ensemble. The country ensemble's played for us before, more than once. Not the jazz band, but both Bodacious and Cretaceous in the country ensemble. And then there's a Renaissance music ensemble. The Renaissance music ensemble played for us once. So, I mean, we're pretty involved with them. Seriously, Nathaniel, I'm not even quite sure if Nathaniel's in town anymore.
You're right, he may have moved on,
I
but you're right.
tried to
I
reach
think-
out to him a few months ago, and I had a hard time
Yeah.
even talking with local people who knew him,
Yeah.
if he was still living in town.
You're right, I think
So-
his wife was, they may have
Just
relocated.
talk to Abby Harris.
Right,
She's very involved.
right.
But I think the school is still, I think it's still running,
Mhm.
somebody's running
Yeah.
it, you know?
We got time for a couple more questions? Any other questions for Rob?
Well, thank you
All
all.
right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got Seth Pine and Patrick Singer of Fine Bersoni Inc. presenting the Pygmalion proposal. You guys can come right this way. Get you a second chair. You want to go pull that one? Maybe switch. Yeah. Musical chair. There we go. Oh, right on the corner. I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, I know, I wish we
We will
Vacation only.
We're a little
try
relaxed.
true to form,
We won't be too harsh on that.
set times are behind. We're gonna have
Right on.
to speed things up. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us. It's really a special thing to have a public arts and culture commission, and to even be able to talk about this stuff to anyone that cares enough to be a part of it, so that's a real honor. Pygmalion, as it is now called, not Pygmalion Music Festival or the Pygmalion Festival, just Pygmalion, is just celebrated its 15th year. And we'll be doing our 16th year on those dates in 2020. As you can see, there's 4 distinct components. Music, think, made, and lit. The word distinct that I just used might be a little bit of a misnomer when it comes to think, because that's kind of our catch-all. It's really expanded the scope of the festival, the diversity of the festival as far as programming goes. Of course, we started out as a rock music festival because it's just what I came up with. I didn't really know any better on how to do anything because it's just what I am. And over the course of time, and really trying to hear community feedback and take cues from the rest of the music world and presenting world, we've expanded the scope of what we do. So, of course, we still do live music. It's just not all that much rock music anymore. There's some of it, not as much, but a lot of emphasis on hip hop, a lot of emphasis on R&B, a lot of emphasis on things that would draw in people of color, and in particular LGBTQ artists and women. Something that we're really, really proud of and focused on as time goes on. The Literature Festival speaks for itself, of course. It's authors presented in a variety of venues in Urbana. All free, all open to the public thus far. The Made Fest takes place on Goodwin Avenue in front of the Canopy Club. It's a collection of almost 40 local makers that set up and sell their wares. The Think component is our hodgepodge. So there's podcasts, there's comedians, there's a hackathon, there's a technology demonstration, there's lectures, there's all different types of things that kind of fit into the mold of what makes us think, what makes us expand who we are. And so that is the general outline and general scope of what we present every year. It's changed so much in so many different ways over time. Of course, for 9 years, the centerpiece of Pygmalion took place in downtown Champaign. Culture shifted, and so over the last 2 years, we've been really proud to come back to Urbana, kind of back to our roots in some ways, and with a new and kind of reinvigorated identity as to what we are and how we wish to present. So that's true. My wife and I own Fine Versus Incorporated. And we also publish a magazine called Smile Politely, which is a culture magazine. My wife's a photographer, and the Nicodemus Agency is the parent company to the management group that I run, and Patrick and I do shows throughout the year. For a long time, it was 100 to 150 shows a year. Now it's more like 20 to 25. But it changes every year. It depends on what we want to do and how motivated we are to do that. In the last 5 years, we've really made an emphasis on growing Smile Politely and developing its readership in social media. And now I think we'll probably do a lot more shows because, in case you weren't aware, but I presume you are, downtown Urbana has a pretty fire music scene and a bunch of really great venues that deserve a bunch of different great artists. And we're not going to let what happened elsewhere happen here. We're going to inspire it, and we're going to put whatever we can behind it. We're going to do that with people like Rob, and we're going to do that with the other venue owners. So we're really excited about 2020 just as far as like programming year-round and trying to get artists, particularly from out of town, to keep coming to Urbana. Yeah, that's the nature of our, it's true, we're not an not-for-profit. It's something that's really, I want to be transparent about. And look, last year when we applied, there was a lot of discussion about that. What does it mean to be a not-for-profit? What does it mean to be a for-profit? And, admittedly, we don't have a board. It's me and Patrick and my wife. There's a wide variety of reasons, and I'm not going to bore you with the details of filing taxes as an S-corp versus a 501c3, but it is really a detail-oriented discussion. But we really took a lot of feedback last year, especially from this committee, and we feel like we really heard it and want to continue to improve upon how we present. So something we're going to be doing is creating some sort of space, maybe an AMA, could be online, could be in person, to get some feedback from the community. Who do you want to see booked? What's exciting to you right now? You know, it's not as easy as just saying like, we want Lizzo, and like,
Great.
done. Which is to say, we were so close. But it's a reality that we had to face. I mean, literally, Lizzo played in Chicago on the weekend of Pygmalion, and believe you me, we went deep. We went hard. And the fact is that she could sell 5,500 more tickets at a second night in the Aragon, and we couldn't match it. And we can't do it. It's just what it is. We're like probably 6 months too late. But that type of stuff is really exciting for us because we do frequently catch lightning in a bottle. We get Run the Jewels. We get Anthony Porowski on the heels of a second season of Queer Eye. And so, but we learn more when we hear from the community. And so we're going to do that at some point here, so keep your eyes peeled. And another thing that was suggested to us is, you know, we're really proud of the diversity in our lineup. I mean, we started off as a super one-note festival in that here are a bunch of rock bands featuring many different shades of white people. And we had to take feedback, and we had to really take some time to consider that. And over the last 5 years, we've grown into that space. But something we want to add to our website when we redesign and update it this year is a diversity statement, that even though inside of our lineup, we feel like there's a really wonderful set of diversity, we think it's also important to state it for the record that says we're intentional about this. It's not like we're just accidentally booking. You know, the 16 music headliners we had, 15 were either people of color, women, or LGBTQ. Same thing with the Lit. 4 of the 6 of the Think presenters, 3 of the 4. I mean, it's like very intentional. We pass on artists to be like, it's not going to fit because we need diversification. We need stage space for these performers. So that's something that's really important to us. We have a budget that probably sounds crazy to you, but it's actually very, very real. The artists that we bring in are internationally known artists. They are big ticket items. They go into Krannert Center's biggest room. They go into the Canopy Club, and frequently we are not able to sell as many tickets as we'd like to sell. Damn it. And that is why the budget looks so inflated. But the reality is that if you've been taking notes and paying attention to the nature of festivals, not just here, but nationwide, it is an interesting bubble that has burst. And it burst really, really loud. We all know about Fire Festival, of course, but you know, that's just the macro example that everyone got to hear about. Patrick and I have been watching this burst for a very long time now as a result of a lot of things that I'll spare you the details on. But if you did want to hear about it, as Public Arts and Culture Commissioners, we would love to sit down and tell you about the nature of ticketing, about the nature of artist management and how it relates to agency work, how that agency work relates to touring, and how the touring industry is affected by the streaming industry. And we know those things as a result of 25 years of performing and then presenting and also representing. So these are real figures. And it goes into staffing, it goes into our salaries, it goes into the people that we pay. Last year there was, it seemed like there was some confusion or some difficulty understanding why we didn't have volunteer opportunities. We don't because we pay all of our people who work for us. It's something that we're very, very specific about because we can't rely on people who are not experienced in their field to do this type of work. The agents that represent the artists expect professionalism, and we intend to give them nothing less. And so everyone makes a livable wage. There's no such thing as working for Pygmalion for at least $15 an hour, generally more. And so that's something that's really important to us. It's not that we don't like the volunteers, but we just can't afford it literally based on our reputation after this amount of time. I'm sorry if that sounds inflated, but it's something that we've had to learn the hard way. And we really believe strongly that a sound engineer and a security guard deserve a wage just as well as the artist does. And so that's a part of an ecosystem that we really believe in. And so here's the budget. And yes, we're asking for a full $10,000. It goes a long way. You know, we have to claw our way into this budget every year. Generally speaking, we do not hit $450,000. We have in the past, we didn't this year, but we continue to fight. We have good a good sense of how to cut back and, where to excise and where to augment to make it work. Our focus is on programming and then the artist fees that come along with it. And so, that's what our budget looks like for this year. Still waiting for a safe to fall on someone's head and just write us a big check. Hasn't happened yet. So, look, we feel like, upon analysis, that about 15,000 people came out to all the events comprehensively from Thursday at 5 p.m. until the wee hours of Sunday. The owner of the Canopy Club would confirm that we broke the record for the longest line in the history of the Canopy Club. It
Nice
stretched.
problem to have.
Yeah,
It
really.
stretched past Subway, which was pretty awesome. And also very difficult to get them all in a timely fashion. But it went great. That was for the Eric Andre show, who's a wild comedian. Look, here are numbers from Visit Champaign County. They have metrics to run these things. It's important for us to get a sense of how we're contributing to the local economy and in what way it impacts people. I can't speak to these numbers in some sort of comprehensive way, but I'm going to place them here because that's what they're telling us. And that's exciting to me. I mean, I know that it definitely supports jobs. I don't know about taxes. Awesome. Sweet. We tell them the numbers and they tell us that. So that's quite an honor for us. We're liberals. We like taxes. Big taxes. So yes, we're applying for the grant. As I said, it contributes to programming. First and foremost, that's what we do with our budget. We have, 50 plus sponsors at Pygmalion. We've got another 50 plus advertisers at Smile Politely. The simple truth is that for us to be able to do Pygmalion, we have to lean on Smile Politely as a funding resource. It's not something that we did by design. It's just the way that it's ended up working out. Part of our identity as a company is being presenters of arts and cultural events. And so with that, we thank you for your support from last year, and we hope to get it again.
Questions for Seth and Patrick?
Go ahead.
The monies that you would receive from the Arts and Culture Commission, would that be going toward artist fees?
Yeah, we can break it up any number of different ways, but generally speaking, by and large, artist fees.
You'll probably see our report from 2019, which I don't know when that is being distributed, but we talked about how the award from last year was split up between the downtown TIF district and the other ways that we utilized the funding. So you'll be able to see which artists we outlined and how much that was as per the budget that we were granted.
Yeah.
It's split up in any number of different ways, but it helped us afford the ability to do a bunch of cool shows in downtown Urbana this year, or 2019, and obviously we'd like to do that again. So we're pretty focused on doing that.
And what we ended up submitting this year ended up kind of being different than what we thought we would because Busey did a software change and all of our impressions of checks disappeared. So we had to kind of go based on what was available to us, but we were able to make it work.
Is that your biggest challenge because of that software change, or
Well,
what
just
other
as-
big challenges?
No, I'm saying like just being able to like see, we have to like submit the cash check to prove that we spent the money.
Right.
That's all. I mean, like, they're just like a bunch that like, we have to like request it from Busey, so we just made it
Was that your
easier.
biggest challenge this year, or what, did you have other challenges?
Oh,
Oh,
we had lots
that
of
wasn't a
challenges.
challenge. I mean, like, that was just like annoying. Our biggest challenge this year, our biggest challenge is the same every year, it's funding. Genuinely and truly, I think most organizations would be able to speak to that. It's like, these big visions for what you believe you can accomplish, how you'd like to further engage, and you're stuck within your reality, within your budget. We're not going to put anything on a credit card, and we want to see the festival, continue. It's not enough to think about this year. It's only good to think about 5 to 10 years. And when you've been doing an event this long and it's become part of your identity and part of your career, and you've staked your claim and you've got mortgages and your families are here and you plan on being participant, you have to continue to not just fundraise for this year, but for the future. And so that's the biggest challenge, Barbara. Yeah.
Other questions?
I have one more. I noticed in your slide you said you were going to be promoting to underserved communities. Can you talk a little bit about what you'll be doing?
Yeah, what we did this year was start to open up discussions with some of the cultural houses at the University of Illinois. Being situated where we are, we feel like they're really good partnerships. We've got some really good plans underway for that. We did a lot of intentional flyering on the north side of town this year for some of our programming that we felt would appeal to that subset of the population. You know, one of the things that we are kind of laser focused on is finding ways to make sure that we're doing enough free programming with people of color and with LGBTQ folks. This year we happen to be on the same weekend as Pride Parade, so it gave us a lot of opportunity to work with the Up Center to cross promote.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
I had
Go ahead.
a question.
Yes, Janelle.
The Maid Festival, I assume it will be similar for the next year?
Yeah. We feel like this is the second year in its new locations. Still trying to figure out what's the right number of vendors for the space. You know, this last year we just didn't have the money to do a stage outside.
Right.
Admittedly, look, we lost our biggest financial sponsor from the city of Champaign when we moved the festival from the city of Champaign, and we had to work from behind. It's really hard to make up $40K to be able to afford that type of thing. Hoping to bring that back, you know, hoping to find that support. But yeah, I mean, I presume it will look the same, regardless of whether we do a big stage or not in the future. We feel like it needs some more programming to be able to attract more people to the Makers Fair outside of just the people selling. And I think we've got some cool ideas that we'll be working with our friends in CU Poetry and Poetry Marathon to try to bolster that and find ways to make it more comprehensive on the street.
I have a question, just because you're right here with us on the budget. So I understand it's kind of more of a simplified budget, and you showed us the pie chart. But under artistic fees, you've got the 10,000 requested, and then 10,000 matching. It then totals 150,000 for artistic. Was
Yeah,
that
that's
just a
just
typo?
like, we,
Or-
no, I mean,
So where's the rest?
Oh.
So if matching, you've got 10, and
Well, yeah, for our goal is always to obviously have more room for artistic budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Where
that's
would that-
similarly stamped from last year, and now we're
Okay.
always trying to, the ideal situation is we have this X amount more to be able to fund more artistic
Okay.
programming. So that, yeah, by the time that we've kind of determined where we think we'll be, I mean, obviously there's where we think we'll be and here's what we hope to be.
right.
so where would that? I'm saying, where would you get that though? If it's 150,000.
Other
for
sponsors.
Yeah.
Other sponsors.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I was wondering, do you count in-kind donation, or just where do you get the rest of that 450? Do you reach that, if you don't mind, or just?
We've never reached
Okay, but that's where you
150,000.
try-
That is
okay,
our-
gotcha.
That is our,
Okay.
when we set out to do something, we set out with
This
a
is
goal in mind.
The aim. Okay.
You have to aim higher.
Mhm.
Aim high.
Well,
Can you
I
give
know
us like more realistic of what you, just so, I'm just curious, that's just like a huge number, and then 10,000, I feel like it's a drop in the bucket, but
It's
you're
all
doing a lot.
important. You know, whether we're
Right.
getting a sponsorship from Cafe Kobe for a,
Right.
less,
Right.
or we're getting
It's
a
always-
sponsorship, it all adds up to what we do.
And do you
Um,
get in-kind from like Cranor? Do you get any in-kind?
There's some in-kind from Cranor,
Okay.
but Cranor also is a financial
They're-
sponsor as well.
Okay.
We don't get a lot of in-kind donation because, we do some with like Illini Media Company, they do some advertising for us, and there's some places that will, lop off, as backline fees, they'll hook us up with an amp for free or whatever, but not much in-kind, The type of artistry and programming we do is represented on an international level, and so designed to sell a lot of tickets and attract a lot of people. So that's why the feels, especially, you know, coming after the See Folk and Roots have a much smaller budget.
I think as far as the budget goes, it's important to note that this is, you know, because Pygmalion and Smile Politely are so like intrinsically tied, and this is Seth and I's career and Justine's career,
Right.
we like to outline that whole amount because it helps kind of illustrate what our company is. And yes, we are spending our whole year designing not just the magazine and the festival, but a variety of other things as well. So, you know, when you talk about these figures, these are always what we're trying to like strive for.
Right, okay.
So it kind of gives you an idea. It's not like we're just spending like a month planning Pygmalion. It's our full-time
Right.
job.
Right, that's great.
Besides performers, what kind of tangible metric do you have for measuring kind of community buy-in across all the different underserved populations that you're wanting to
Well,
include?
We think attendance, you know, attendance, you know.
Okay.
How does it break down?
As far as,
Attendance locally and visitors and.
well, we think about 35 to 40% come from out of town. We have a pretty big tourism draw. I mean, the reality is, I mean, we consider that, you know, anywhere from Danville to Bloomington, Normal, West Lafayette, Peoria, Springfield, Decatur. We really focus our attention on about a 100-mile radius, give or take, because we're not going to try to compete with Chicago. You know, as far as like attracting attention, it's just too big, too wide, they have too many options. So we feel like, yeah, 30 to 40% come from out of town, just based on, you know, it's kind of hard to determine, you know, outside of asking people, where do you live? But we can look at our ticketing, and we can look at their address, and an analysis of that says 30 to 40%. So we're pretty proud of that figure.
What is the visibility for Pygmalion among underserved populations, though? Is it not just faces of people, but in terms of community organizations and community buy-in? The people who are representing the festival represent a particular demographic. Is there a way of including other people from the different demographics?
Are you asking, can we hire some people of color?
Yeah, I guess, as part of that management focus, that's not just the performers, but the actual people that are part.
Well, look,
Maybe that's beyond the scope of this, I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, the best thing I know how to say is that we would love the opportunity to work with as many people of color and LGBTQ and women as we can, you know. My wife owns half the business. We're limited by our budget. To my knowledge, there's a dearth of people working in this industry of the underserved populations, I believe. And that's showcased when you go to any venue and you see who's running the soundboard. I think that that's for all of us, applying across the board, a really difficult answer to that question, you know. If you're asking if I can hire somebody else with a person of color, I don't have the budget to hire anyone else right now. I don't know exactly what you're asking.
Well, they have different community. I mean, as a person of my particular demographic, I don't know that I have an awareness of all the different opportunities that are there. And maybe people from diverse backgrounds would have more of an understanding of all the different, or unless that's an overly simplistic way of looking at it, but.
Are you talking about the booking process? Are you talking about running sound? Are you talking about promotion?
Maybe the whole kit and caboodle, that, you know, there's so many aspects of it, being able to have people across all the different segments really buy in and be part of the festival. And given that we are a university town, there is obviously going to be that demographic that's going to come, but being able to draw people across all aspects of the Champaign-Urbana community. That's not just the university, but, you know, genuinely town attraction. And,
Do you not think that our
well,
program
I'm not,
is-
I'm a new commissioner, so this is new stuff for me, so I'm just trying to get kind of a sense of how to really open it up, or maybe continue to, because it sounds like you've made a lot of strides in doing that and encouraging ways of.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, just to chime in, I think that, you know, obviously we're always trying to appeal and promote to a variety of different populations as best we can with the amount of manpower that we have. Obviously, engaging with, you know, first off, it comes with reflecting who is even on the stage. So what types of people are on the stage? What does that say about our programming?
Okay.
But also making as much, you know, diversified programming as far as literature and technology and makers and such, because it didn't always used to be this way. So we've made a conceited effort to diversify our programming to appeal to a broader subset of people. And, you know, we are always trying our best to promote and integrate whomever we can within the structure of what our programming is, whether that's working with Unifor Schools or, you know, any number of different organizations on campus at the University of Illinois, or working closely with Parkland College to provide opportunities for their students to be involved. So I think I understand what you're saying. You know, we're, as an event, you know, we're changing and transforming our programming in order to serve different types of people, not just people that want to buy a ticket to go to an indie rock show. So I think, you know, doing things like a technology demo where it's like all ages and all age groups in the lobby of Craner just participating and showing that they, you know, made a robot, or they want to come try virtual reality and learn more about what programs are offered at Parkland and what they're offering. Or, you know, especially with our poetry marathon and things like that, it's like, it's very accessible for all sorts of people involved with literature to be involved. So I think that's how I would speak to your question, I think.
I participated in that aspect of
Yeah,
it, so
right
certainly,
on.
you know, that was
Perfect.
something that
Right.
saw some reaching out with that.
Just mention, I mean, I think part of that could be addressed had you, I mean, I don't mean to make this as a critique, but like if the organization had a board perhaps, but my understanding is that the three of you kind of running lots of things, which is a lot of work. Whew, that's a lot. So I'm just saying maybe if you had more people involved. But whenever you involve more people, that's a lot more issues, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a.
Any other questions?
Anybody?
Gonzalo, yeah, sorry.
I was thinking about like maybe if you have some like new strategies for dealing with something that in the previous festival was not working, or something that you wanted to improve. So if you have some a specific strategy that you are using, how? So my question is maybe better say how it is different this festival from the previous, or what is your proposal? How is different from the previous one?
Well,
I'll have next year.
yeah, I mean, we continue to expand upon our programming as best we are able with the limitations of our budget. And we're always pretty laser focused on making sure that what is being presented is as representative of our community as we possibly can. And each year, we start the process of fundraising 18 months prior to the execution of the event. And we fight hard to sell sponsorship, to sell advertising, to create this event. And if you've raised money, if you've gone out and asked for money before, especially in the face of all of the unbelievably underfunded things that we have in this world. I'll not get into a political discussion about what it means to fund things like health insurance, health care, education, your neighbor's dying son. asking money for people to contribute to something that is meaningful to a community that presents artists in any way is an act of courage as far as I'm concerned. We showcase that in Kelly over there. We do it too. We know that we could make more money doing other work. We know that we could make more money presenting different types of performers, certainly country music. And there's nothing wrong with country music. It's just not what we enjoy. It's not what we believe is going to make Champaign-Urbana the type of place that we want to see reflected. And so we do this through our magazine by covering as much as we possibly can, by showcasing who's doing things, what they're doing, when they're doing them, and how to see it. Showcase that by eating food and telling people how it tasted. We showcase that by going to plays and talking about the value of theater. We also do that by trying to raise money and put on a program the best we know how. And I can assure you, if we had double the budget, $900,000, we believe it'd be reflective. Right now, I've been able to grow this as a kid who was born in Urbana into a pretty modest career where I've been able to bring on one person at a full-time situation, and then a couple of quarter-time. Julie McClure and Jess Hammy are managing editors at Smile Politely. And then we work with a lot of temporary labor as needed. And so it's what we can do. So.
I want to commend you on Smile Politely. I've been really impressed by coverage of events. So, I mean, I see often articles. So,
Thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah. And you do pay other people, you say, at your events. It's not just you three. I mean, you're paying people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Like
said
when
that.
they work for us?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned that. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, everyone gets paid.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
One thing I failed to remind everyone of, and I'll just take a quick moment to say it now, is that this time is obviously limited, and I'm sorry I've had to rush things along, but you do have a few days just this week to submit any questions that you would like them to follow up on, and I'll pass those along. And then anybody who's presented today has the opportunity to expand upon their answers further if you would like them to do so.
Okay.
Thank you guys for presenting.
Sure, thanks for
Don't
having
feel
us.
obligated to stay, but do if you would like to. Our next presenter is Kelly White of 40 North, presenting on the 2020 Boneyard Arts Festival.
I don't know. Well, it depends how many questions.
Hi, everybody. It's wonderful to be here. For anybody new, I am Kelly White, the Executive Director of 40 North, which is the Champaign County Arts Council. I've been with 40 North for about, let's say 10 years. That's close. It's close to 10 years. And I just wanted to just thank the commission in general. I think you all are a very, very special group. We just had the ACE Awards. If you're not familiar, it's one of our programs we have every year. And on Friday night was the ACE Awards. And so many of the nominations are coming from artists and people that kind of got their start or got their recognition because they received a grant or an opportunity through the Urbana Public Arts Commission. Even the winner of the ACE Award, Eka, she's been a grant recipient a couple of years, and specifically one of the things that she got the grant for was noted on several of her nominations, as well as Keenan Daly, the student winner. He participated in the Urbana Get Down all summer, so the connections are all there, and wouldn't happen without what you all do. So I just want to make sure I said that and emphasized it quite a bit. So I'm going to talk about the Boneyard Arts Festival. Also, for anyone new, Boneyard Arts Festival is very different. This last one was the 17th, so 2020 will be the 18th festival. It's a very unusual festival because it is not the typical art festival where you have some closed streets and a line of tents and artists kind of selling their wares. It is a 4-day festival. It does happen beyond Urbana. It is a county-wide festival. I'm obviously only going to focus on the Urbana part, but it does happen county-wide. And anybody can be a venue. And so this year we had over 100 venues. So a bank can be a venue, a salon can be a venue, the city building is always a venue. So non-traditional and traditional, so obviously galleries and museums are also venues. But what's neat about it is it's obviously highlighting the amazing creativity we have in this community. It's over 400 local artists that were featured. But it also features the town, right? When you go out and explore and you make your plan of attack for Boneyard, we hear about all the art they discovered, but we also say, I didn't know that place opened, or I didn't know they moved there, or I didn't know there was a new place for music there. So it's a great way where you get exposure to not only our amazing arts community, but they get to kind of discover the town and have like an adventure. So the economic impact is there as well as the creative impact. So I just tell you who do I slide? Oh, cool. So what I'm going to do is, it's not very long, it's pretty brief. I wanted to kind of go over the big part of Boneyard that makes it what it is our collaborations. Actually, 40 North, currently I'm the only staff person, but I'm hiring someone. For 3 years I haven't had any staff, so be on the lookout for that. That's happening. But I am the solo staff member, so we wouldn't be anything without all of our collaborations. So that's key. One of the main things we use the grant for, and what we use the additional money this year, we would use it even more if we got more money. It's obviously promotion, right? Promotion and marketing is key, because a lot of the programming that happens, we program some parts, but basically the community programs it. All the artists come together, all the organizations come together, they kind of program. We just have to make sure that everybody knows about it and hears about it. So obviously we do posters, we do a very customized, very involved website, we have billboards, we have yard signs, we obviously have all the social media, we have the quick guide, which is up there, which is basically a very quick version of all of the different venues that you can go to. Some people like this, they like the paper, they like to check things off. Some people like the website where they can kind of interactively kind of find the different spaces that way. So a lot of promotion, postcards all sent home, just trying to get out as much as possible. Yard signs are kind of key because of the fact that if you're on the internet and you don't see a poster, at least driving around, you can get yard signs. So we try to hit marketing at every possible level we can, including the Boneyard flags, which unfortunately we got very few back this year than what we gave out. So there's going to have to be a new round of those made this year because they walk off, but that's fine. But we try to do all the venues, have a Boneyard flag so as you're walking by, kind of treats you that this is a venue. So definitely lots of marketing, which will only increase. Obviously working with you all, working with the lovely Rachel back there. I love it, right? The Boneyard Festival, that Boneyard Creek celebration we do every year is fantastic. We work together on a whole day of amazing things happening, whether it's the DJs playing, face painting, hula hooping, bubble guy, puppets. It's just this wonderful place where everyone can kind of come out and celebrate on the Saturday. We got great feedback. I should have brought the quote, but somebody had emailed me their experience with their kids. It was their first Boneyard, and they brought their children to this specific event, and they were overwhelmed with it. And the kids wouldn't stop talking about it. They said everybody was so nice. They asked art questions for like weeks, which I think she got a little tired of, but I love the fact that those kids were so inspired by coming down and experiencing that. And this is also something that we can grow, because we help fund parts of this, but with more funding, obviously we can create even more programming, even to the point we've always loved the idea of doing like wandering musicians to kind of wander down Main Street or wander in the different areas in the heart of Urbana. And with additional funding, obviously that could be something we could explore. We work very, very closely with the Urbana Park District. They have been a critical stakeholder in Boneyard since its inception. They have several members on our committee. This year we're really excited because we've added a dual language member of the committee, which I think will also be great to be able to reach some other communities. Some of the members on the committee also are the outreach and wellness manager and coordinator for the Park District. They have a lot of strong relationships with a lot of other community organizations that can help us reach some people that might not know about Boneyard or how to participate in Boneyard. So they've been incredibly helpful. They helped coordinate this nature play event that we had right down there in the heart of downtown on Saturday, where kids could kind of create things nature inspired. They also, this is I think the fourth year where we have worked with them. They pick one of the sculptors from Meadowbrook that has created one of the sculptures, and then they take pictures of some of their works, and then they take it to the Splash Grant children, who then make artwork inspired by what they see of those sculptures. It's a nice display inside the the interpretive farm there at Meadowbrook. The kids come and get to see their art on display. The artist is there. They get to talk to them. They have little maquettes. Actually, the one down, the second one down, it wasn't a maquette then, but now it is actually a sculpture in the park. So that's been a really great collaboration and partnership, and we want to just continue to grow that even more. We also work with the school districts, Urbana School District 116. That's kind of changed in different ways. Sometimes we always get the flash mob. Sometimes we've also had some art projects where they've wanted to display, and we've worked that into Boneyard as well. But this is always my favorite part. They have this very choreographed dance that they practice for a very long time, and then they perform it once inside Lincoln Square, and then they run out. Well, they don't run. We walk and make sure the traffic lights are okay, but we get to the front of the courtyard, and they perform it. All the families are there, and the parents, and they're so excited. Some of them are more excited than others. They're front row. They know every single step by hand, by just perfectly. So it's fun to watch all the kids interact and then all the parents. And then they kind of have a little fun dance afterwards. Like the DJ stays and plays more music, and they just kind of, the families come in and dance with them. And then also what we've increased, and I would love to increase more, is kind of just for the weekend transforming Main Street and the side streets. It's just very vibrant and celebratory by creating these streamers with the bones on them, chalking all the different sidewalks in front of the venues. The committee made these cool things out of pool noodles that just kind of stuck in the corners and just to add some color and vibrancy, so when people come downtown, they're like, wait, something different's going on, something fun's happening, just to kind of enliven it, and I think we could even do more of that, for sure. And then there's all the wonderful collaborations and pop-ups that happen. Boneyard's really, back in the day, I don't think we did as much as this, but throughout the whole festival, not just in Urbana, but Urbana's done a great job of it too, is property owners letting artists use their space and kind of transform it for the weekend. Nobody does it better than Peg Shaw, which that was up in the top left there, that's I think it's utilized now with someone else, but it was empty then next to 25 O'Clock Brewery. This big, massive space. She worked with about 5 other artists, and she does these amazing installation pieces, and it was just a huge draw. People loved it. It just transformed the space completely. You have pop-ups happen. Parasol Records had Full Frontal Fiber, had a market there where they were selling things. Broadway Food Hall let Polyvinyl come in and have a little bit of a market. We had people doing plein air painting out in the street, which is amazing. And then the Cohen Building, Patrick Hammy had his Counterpoint show, and another performance art piece that was in that room too, and it was just outstanding. And already we're talking to Mike Hosier, the big building where CU Adventures is. He's going to let us use some of that for Boneyard. So working with all these property owners to be able to do these really interesting pop-ups for the weekend where they just get transformed and create this great buzz. We just can't wait to explore that and see what else is coming as well. And so I wanted to obviously thank you, like I said before. And then one other thing, nothing's confirmed, but it's a little dream with additional funding that this grant could help with. We've always wanted to have some sort of like Boneyard Express, like a little, whether it's a bus of some kind that takes people around to the venues. So we would kind of curate a little itinerary. Obviously for underserved communities, one of the biggest barriers is transportation, and so what would be great is to be able to provide that. It wouldn't go to every Boneyard venue. I got to 72, I wouldn't recommend it. I do it just to document and see things. It wouldn't take people to 72 venues, that would be too much. But we would obviously, get the best family-friendly, most interesting, diverse venues, and maybe make an itinerary, and with additional funding, it would be so great to be able to work with the Urbana Park District, who's already been interested, with some of their partners, maybe create this little Boneyard Express where people can hop on and go and be taken to different venues. So that's something that with funding that we've never had before, maybe that dream could actually come about. So that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Questions for Kelly?
I have a question.
Yes.
I can find it here. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding it right. You mentioned that the $100,000 you suggested, that's for the all-year programming?
That's all the 40
Okay.
months, all year long.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then the 33 you listed is just for Boneyard?
Boneyard and most in Urbana.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. And then, is that a significant amount of the Boneyard budget, or is there, like, I guess?
No, it's a very large part, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
both for the whole Boneyard or the whole year?
Oh, well, Boneyard obviously is one of two of our major
Right, okay.
events. Friday Night Live and
Right.
Boneyard are our two most expensive and major events that we spend the most on. Yeah.
Right, okay. And then, you mentioned that you've partnered a lot with, both the Public Arts and the Park District. And is that funding listed here, the Park District's?
It's all in
contribution?
kind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all in kind. When we work with them, it's all been in kind that they provide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
We also work very closely with the UVA as well. I didn't put that one down, but we work with them every year to put on the Boneyard Mingle, which kind of happens in early February. And it's basically a way to get everybody to start thinking and talking and planning. We use it because the registration for Boneyard is around March 15th, and so early February is the perfect time for the artists are ready to go then, but to get venues to start thinking about it and just have everybody meets. We have like a nice little event, little mixer where everybody makes talks and starts making their plan, and UVA hosts that for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What are the participations you have from Urbana School District?
Well, we have obviously we have the flash mob that they do every single year, and then it varies, but we have a lot of different. So the thing with Boneyard is anybody can participate, right? So we have a lot of student art that gets displayed, like the Splash Grant children that are displayed at Meadowbrook. There's several different. One year I think Art Coop only did put kids art up. So because Boneyard, that's one of the special things about it is you can literally. You've only ever painted one painting, you can participate in Boneyard. So we have people that are established and been here 20, 30 years making amazing art, and people with Boneyard is the first time anybody else has ever seen their artwork. So for kids, it's also a perfect opportunity for them to start to feel what it feels like to either perform or display their art. So yeah, we work as much as possible with the art and dance and other teachers at the district to see.
So you're working with the teachers then?
Yes,
Also. Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
Do you have any proposal of a subject for people participating, or do you ever think about that, like having a theme or
A specific theme for the festival? No, we've never done that. We kind of leave it wide open. 40 North has personally usually does do a juried show that's featured at Boneyard where we'll have a theme and people submit and we pick pieces that are going to be on display. And then when we did the 10th anniversary, we kind of did a theme related to 10. But no, usually we try and leave it as wide open as possible because we really want as many people to participate and use all their ideas. Because that's the most exciting part for me when I go around is to see these collaborations, whether it's with artist to artist or it's artist to venue. So I really kind of like to leave it as open as possible for what they want to. And that the artists will select one. Like we've had group shows where they've selected a theme. But yeah, we've really never limited it. We just want to kind of leave that creativity open.
Other questions?
There's no application fee to be in the Boneyard?
No, the artists don't have to pay a fee. No, it's all free to participate for the artists. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presenter was Darius White. He's currently at urgent care with his young baby, so it's like touch and go at the moment, so he cannot be here at all. I've given him the opportunity to submit a video presentation, and I'll check in with him later tonight and tomorrow morning to see where things are at and what a reasonable deadline for that would be. But my hope is that things will be okay and he can maybe submit that tomorrow or the next day for me to pass along to you. Okay. And I would hope that you will join me in giving him full consideration given the circumstances. Okay.
Put it in a Google Drive or your Dropbox.
Yeah, it'll be in the Dropbox with everything else. That's where I'll put it. Next steps, just to discuss them quickly one more time. I want to emphasize that we encourage you to take seriously the instructions on your scoring sheet. I've adapted the scoring sheet just a little. My hope is that they continue to adapt it and make sure that it meets your needs as a group. Last year, it felt a little too simplified, so I made it more complicated for you, but not too much complicated. Not too complicated. But it does give you some kind of concrete things to consider as you're evaluating for each criteria, and it gives you more points to consider overall. So really use the instructions that you're given at the top that include also kind of using a method of deducting points and kind of giving everyone the maximum amount of points in your brain to begin with, and then deducting, right? Versus trying to compare one to the other. You're not comparing. Every proposal needs to be considered as an isolated proposal. So do not be in the business of comparing one to the other. It's not in our interest. Okay, and so all of your scores will then be assembled. We will have a chance to discuss them. I'm going to emphasize this to you at our next meeting, but please do discuss them. I think that was where the confusion lied last cycle. It was like, when do we really discuss? We discuss next week. So make sure you come with, some prepared statements, your comments, your own scoring in tow so that you can reference that as you have your conversation. And make sure that you also take, I think we hope and expect that as commissioners, you take not only their presentations, but go and do your homework. Make sure that you evaluate their proposals. Make sure that you get to know their websites. Make sure, what I do is I'm also going to be sending you the history of their funding. And I ask you to also make sure you're remembering their final reports from previous cycles. For new commissioners, this is not necessarily an expectation, but for those of you who've been around the table a while, we rely on that historic knowledge and making sure that you're also paying attention to performance. One of the questions and asks you to evaluate project feasibility, and in that question is analyzing the use of funds from previous years and were they well utilized.
Right. So in the application, is that going to address like the organization of the program? Because we didn't ask, and also evaluation. We didn't ask anything about that. Is that in the application?
Usually there's more in their final reports. They are asked a question of things that they do to evaluate the program. I believe it's more of a narrative response. And then they have a narrative response question related to diversity and inclusion that I encourage you to pay attention to as well. Those were asked of everybody. I want to note that we've done this twice now, and both times I think we asked applicants different questions, and that is a challenge for me as a listener. It's a challenge, I'm sure, to the people applying, because I would assume and argue that you could ask the same questions of everybody and get some different answers or similar answers. We don't know, but make sure to keep that in mind as you're evaluating. Do your own homework. Ask me questions. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer them to the best of my ability. And I will prompt you to email me all of these scoring sheets and your funding worksheet by Sunday the 17th. Okay?
Oh, like this Sunday?
I think it was
Sunday
Sunday.
or
Yeah.
Monday?
I gave myself a full Monday to organize it all for you. Sorry.
Okay, so Sunday.
I misspoke and said Monday the
Okay,
17th.
so-
I meant Sunday
Okay.
the 17th.
So we've got the physical hard copy, but then it's also through the Dropbox.
I'll put it in Dropbox tonight and you'll get a link. And the only thing I'll say is as long as it's in my inbox Monday morning, I'll be a happy camper. I'm not too worried about what time of day I get it, as long as
Okay,
it's
so
in there
I've
when I
never
get to
done
work.
this before,
Yeah.
so just getting familiar, so that,
Absolutely. Don't hesitate to ask me questions.
I'm sure you'll hear from me.
That's what she likes. All good.
In her remarks that she sends out to us too, which I found very helpful.
Right, for, yeah,
Yeah, if you go through the scoring sheet, it's pretty self-explanatory.
okay.
Okay.
So you've got the grants and the
And,
scoring.
again, every year is a chance to get feedback and impact this scoring sheet for future years.
Right.
And the best way to learn about whether it's working for you is to try it out. So if you try it and you're like, oh, I wish there was a question about this, please note it and let me know for next year. All right?
Okay.
Thank you guys
Well, let me
so
just
much.
wind it up then. Okay.
Yeah.
I suppose we close the meeting. Can I have a first? Oh, second?
I'll second.
We're done.
Sounded like you were proposing.